In today's episode, we are going to talk about who is Reppy McRepperson. We're going sets, we're going reps, and of course, we're going balls deep. Knowledge fisting coming right up.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testicles. Welcome everyone to episode 621 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Nipplecast, Coffeecast, and Yolkcast, and GorillaCast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. The gain train, it's Papa Swolio. It's Papa Swolio. Shout it from the rooftops. Papa Swolio's got his caffeine, strong as fuck. Papa Swolio's got his biceps, large as fuck. And that brings us to our first portion of the show. A big resounding thanks to our sponsors, Everest and K2, flexing on you. We are going to get yoked from our head to our feet because today, Papa Swolio is going balls deep, knowledge fisting, straight to the taint. And the question of the day is, who is Reppy McRepperson? Because we're going sets and reps today. And I know my Instagram fam, IG fam, represent those of you that are watching live, that we had a poll yesterday on whether we're going to do inflammatory foods or sets and reps. And I decided, because no joke, the poll was, I swear to God, 50-50. To the person, to the literal person, it was 50% sets and reps, 50% inflammatory foods. We've been talking a lot about nutrition lately, so we'll just split that up over two different episodes. We'll talk about both this week. I want to do a poll to see, hey, who wants to, where the personality, where the flavor, where the bias was leaning towards, and it was literally 50-50. So I was kind of like, all right, well, that poll was crap. Anytime you get a 50-50 poll, it doesn't give you that much feedback, but it gives you all the feedback. So I know you're interested in both topics, which is great, which means all these shows are going to be fucking awesome. So thank you everyone watching live on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, every day live at 12 noon Eastern time, Instagram at Swolenormous, Facebook at Swolenormous, and you can catch the HD episodes also later in the day on YouTube and on Facebook. And guess what, fam? Guess what? I've been saying this every day, but I want to encourage you to also check out the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. And the beauty of the podcast, and float some hearts if you catch the podcast too, because even if you catch it live, like even if you're just coming into the community and the family right now, you have 620 other episodes that you got to catch up on. Like, you don't have the full flavor. You don't have the entire meal. You don't have the entire Papa Swolio unless you get all the episodes. So unless you're catching all the other ones, you don't really know where we're coming from. We've been everywhere. We've been everywhere with fitness. So I have people asking me questions. Hey, you should do an episode on this. You should do an episode on that. And we've done 620 other episodes. So you got a work to do. So you can catch it on SoundCloud at Swolenormous, and you can also catch it on Apple Podcasts. So just type in Daily Swole, type in Swolenormous, and you will see the Daily Swole every single episode. So you can also catch me and follow me on Instagram stories. I usually post up when the podcast is live, so you can just swipe up and watch it right there. So make sure you follow me all these places, because I drop little knowledge, tidbits and nuggets and nukes everywhere. So let's say hi to the family, everyone that's joining live. Let's see who's coming in. Robert Villarreal, hello from Michigan. What up, Jeremy Dyer, Paul Maddox, James Joy, Jeff McGowan, Tyler Hebert, Lena, what's going on, girl? Kim, hello, Raymond, Cisco Diaz, Keith Conrad, Frank Donnelly, Darren Phillips. Everyone is representing. Let's go over to Instagram and see who's the CMD. Oh, we got here Avram, Delay. I don't even know how to pronounce. These are all screen names. It's weird. It's on Facebook, I actually say real names, and over here it's like on Instagram, it's like butt sucker, and I'm like, okay, butt sucker 319. What up? No, I'm kidding. Hello from, what is that? Hello from, is that Greece? Hello from the UK. Love it. JJ Insight, you kick ass, brother. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Well, I love it. You know what? Let's do that first too. Let's do that. I want to see where everyone's from. So rep your country, rep your state, rep where you live. Hello from Kansas. Let's do that. I like that how everyone's starting to do that on Instagram. Let's do that on Facebook too. Where are you from? Where do you hail from? Where are you representing? What country or what area of the United States are you repping? Hello from India. Hello. Look at this. Oh my God. I love that 12 noon Eastern time because we're getting like midnight across the world. We're getting evening times in the UK, and we're getting your early morning commute over on the West Coast and Mountain Time in the United States. So where you're from, ULA, Chicago, cool. So while everyone is repping their locations, let's get this started. Let's say a little context for this episode. Let's start there. I got a big cup of coffee, so if you have your coffee, now is the time to start getting a little chug skis. And I got to trim my mustache because that's all up in my beard. So some of you are watching butter and coffee drip from my beard in full HD. So let's set up a little context with sets and repetitions. So volume is sets times repetitions. And when we talk about volume, I mentioned a few episodes ago, I think like last week, we're talking about the EVT principle. We're talking about how you can determine where you should start with your fitness based on experience, volume, and time that you have available to train. And that can all be put into kind of like a blender and a like Rubik's Cube, so to speak, to determine what your sets and repetitions should be. Because it's great to first off know what exercises are best. And then it's a whole other thing to know how many repetitions to do, because I still have a lot of questions pop up in my DM on Instagram and my messages on Facebook about how much weight should I be doing? How much weight should I be doing? Well, should I be lifting? Is it okay if I'm lifting 30s? Is it okay if I'm doing 10s? Is it okay if I do the weight for this? And I just wanted to make a point as we get into this episode that the amount of weight that you're lifting is completely irrelevant. And I want to reiterate that one more time. How much, like what the number says on the dumbbell or the barbell, it's irrelevant. And that doesn't mean that it's not important. That doesn't mean that it's not important to know for you to make progress. What it means is that it doesn't matter if yours says 10 and mine says 90, or mine says 50 and yours says 70. It's all relative to your own personal strength and your experience and what you're doing and what your goals are. So don't get it twisted. And that's where the ego lifting comes in. That's where you see people with bad form that might have had good form at one point and they just kept on wanting to see a bigger number, because as human beings, we are programmed to think more is better. 10 is better than 9, and 9 is better than 8. And if you have $5, that's better than having $1. If you have $10, it's not as good as having $15. If you are, and so forth. So even like sports like golf, where the lower the number, the better, we're still programmed to compare numbers against each other. But your strength is relative. So for example, let me just define those two things. You have relative strength and you have absolute strength. So for example, an absolute strength would be one person can lift 100, the other person can lift 200. That's called absolute strength. This person A can only lift 100 pounds. This person B can only lift 200 pounds. What's more important is relative strength. Let's say that person that lifts 100 pounds weighs 100 pounds. Like they have 100 pounds of mass in their body and they're lifting 100 pounds. However, the person that lifts 200 pounds weighs 150 pounds. So the person that weighs 150 pounds is lifting 50 pounds more than their body weight. So relative strength, that person B is stronger relative to person A that weighs 100 pounds, that can only lift 100 pounds. So that's a little bit more of a realistic comparison when you start comparing what is most important when it comes to, let me get this signed up, when it becomes most important to measuring strength and quantifying strength. So that being said, how much should you be lifting? How many reps should you be doing? So drop some comments below. What's going on, Welty? The mindset changer. What's up, mindset changer? Wesley Wilder, Oregon. Where are we all from? Athens. I like that. Greece. Damn. Mile High City in the house. Morning from Oregon. Repping from Asheville, North Carolina. Another snowstorm. Fuck snow, man. Fort Bliss, Texas. From downtown D. What up, D? You mean like downtown, like Dallas? Is that Dallas? Mississippi, Cali, LA. Awesome, fam. I love it. All around the country, all around the world. So let's do this first. That way I get some context. You ask some questions and I'll take some, during and after the show. What are your goals? Are your goals more endurance? Are your goals to build more mass? So let's talk about what weight you should be doing. This comes into play when we talk about failure as well, because when you get to failure, when you start training to failure, that's really when we're measuring how many reps and sets you should be doing, because failure is your physiological limit. If you're training to failure, that's the most repetitions that you can do with that given weight at that time, right? With your rest periods, with all your choices. So, all these acute variables, things that you can manipulate in a specific workout, will lead to your chronic adaptation. So, how many repetitions you're doing, how many sets you're doing, your volume is going to determine your long term gains. And how many of you saw the post I did on Instagram yesterday when I was talking about what was it that you don't see progress? I think I posted on Facebook too. You don't see progress in the gym. Gains are made outside the gym. Gains are made when you're recovering. Gains are made when you're sleeping, when you're pooping, when you're showering, when you're eating, when you're resting. You break down the muscle in the gym. So, how you break down your muscle in the gym is going to determine your long term adaptations. You're not growing when you're training. So, if you do, hey, I did a workout where I did 10 reps and I maxed out, 10 reps, I did, 5 sets, blah, blah, blah. You're not getting progress. You're not making gains from that in the gym. It's about your adaptations after. So, if you're trying to build muscle, and I want to make this clear because we had an episode where we're talking about losing weight, building muscle for losing weight. So women should be lifting weights to lose weight. Men, if you want to trim fat, you should be lifting weights. We talked about the other day, you should not put on hold. You should not wait to do resistance training. You shouldn't lose fat before you start resistance training. You should start doing resistance training immediately, which will help you lose fat. So everyone here, I don't care if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, you realize there's no difference, right? You need to lift and do resistance. You need to build muscle and develop muscle. Now, how much muscle you build will be determined by the volume and how hard you train. It will be determined by, how many sets and reps you do, the volume, and also your caloric intake. So if you are slamming calories, you're going to put on weight over time. If you are eating a caloric deficit, if you're not eating enough calories to maintain, you're going to lose weight over time. So those are generalities. Those are just facts. If you're using more energy than you consume, you're going to lose mass, and vice versa. If you're consuming more energy than you utilize, you will gain. So it's even more complicated. It's not complicated, but it's even more diverse or more multidimensional, that even if you are doing the right reps and sets for building muscle, if you're not eating properly outside, you're not going to build. You're just going to wear your body down and overtrain, or get injured or something like that, or not see progress. So it still has to be paired up with proper nutrition. You're not going to gain just because, oh, I'm doing 10 reps to failure, I'm going to grow now. Your body is primed to grow, but if you don't eat properly and recover properly and sleep properly and stretch properly, you're not going to maximize those gains. So that's extremely important to understand. What are the rep ranges? Let's assume that you are trained. Let's assume that you're experienced. If you are experienced and if you're trained, you can start going to failure. If you are new to doing exercise, if you're new to resistance training, you should absolutely 100% not be going to failure. You should stop a few repetitions before your absolute physiological failure. Do a couple reps through the burn, but don't go to absolute failure, and don't do that much volume. Don't do that many sets because your body is not accustomed to it. One of the problems with these group exercise programs, CrossFit, these boot camps, you jump into a workout that everyone's doing, you get your ass fucking handed to you. Either you hurt yourself, you have some kind of exercise related injury or illness, and you get so sore and damaged that you almost maybe even have to go to the hospital, but you get so fucked up you can't go back, or you're so sore you can't do activity for a week or two, and then you fall off. Like, the whole point is to ramp up properly. And those of you that are in Swolenormous X, you know that my 90-day dash program is really focused on that ramp up process, because the ramp up process is extremely important. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the name of the game. If you're not consistent, you're not getting results. If you're getting hurt, you can't train. You can't get results. So all these other aspects, besides from just how much weight you're doing, how many reps and sets, are important for building muscle. So for building muscle, and ladies that are watching, when I say building muscle, I do not mean getting huge. You're not going to get big. This means toned. And let me clarify that toned is a bullshit word. Toned just means you have muscle and you have less fat. That's all it means. It means you're leaner. There's no such thing as toning a muscle. You have muscle, you build it, or you lose it. That's it. And the toned is not being as fat. So losing fat on top and subcutaneous fat. So if you want to be toned, if you're sitting here, well, I want to get big, I want to be toned, you need to build muscle and develop muscle. Trust me. Just lift some fucking weights. Just do it. Just fucking do it already. So how many sets and repetitions? There are certain ranges. Now, everyone's different, and there's some muscles that respond better to higher repetitions. There's some muscles that respond better to high volume, and those are the ones that are really kind of customizable, and those are ones that are more individualized. So things like calves, forearms, abdominals, you have to figure out and play around with different things to see what works best for you. I find that, moderate, heavy reps, high reps, just a lot of volume, doing calves frequently, like pretty much every single time I go work out, training them pretty hard, but regularly, develops them, builds them. That's been the best thing to build my calves. And those are usually stubborn muscles for a lot of people. Same thing with forearms. You have to find what these smaller, more endurance-oriented muscles respond to. So certain muscles that are like kind of a blend, such as the shoulders. Some people have problems building the shoulders because they don't do high repetitions enough. There are certain muscles that respond very well to high repetitions that you have to expose to. And those are some little tweaks that you have to actually put into practice in the field to see what works best for you. But in general, with all the studies, with all the exercise science and the physiology and the tests that have been done, the proper rep range for building the most amount of muscle is anywhere between 6 and 15 repetitions. Now, when I say failure, that means that you cannot do another rep past 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 repetitions about. Once you start going higher, the weights have to drop so much that you're lifting to get 20, 25, 30 repetitions. You're utilizing more aerobic capacity. You're doing more endurance, slow glycolytic process. You're firing a little bit more of the mitochondria. You're not working so much for muscle hypertrophy, which is growth, which is thickening of the muscle fibers and the increasing cross-sectional diameter. You are working more towards muscular endurance. So if you're trying not to get that big down the line, you can start increasing your repetitions. But if you want to have muscle, have shape, and build, you need to keep the reps lower. You can't be doing 20, 25, 30 repetitions. I think you're going to build a lot of muscle. You need to be keeping it anywhere between 10 and 15. And if you're trying to really bulk up and work a little bit more on strength, then you want to drop it even more. 6 to 8 repetitions can be beneficial. But this all depends on your experience. A new person in the gym should not be doing 6 and 8 repetition sets, especially to failure. If you're new, you should be doing 1 or 2 sets per body part. Per body part, if you're just starting, and doing 15 reps sub-max, not to failure. Once you get more advanced, you can start doing 8 to 10 reps, 8 to 12 reps, 6 reps, and doing 2, 3, 4, 5 sets per exercise, not per body part, per exercise per body part, and the volume will start to increase. Sometimes when I'll do a chest workout, I might do 20 or 30 total sets. That's a shit ton of fucking volume. If you're brand new to training, that would put you in a coffin. But if you're more experienced and your body has adapted to it, you can handle it. Like I get really sore after. I'll get really sore, but I can handle it. I'm used to that soreness. My body can handle that because I've built it up over decades. Well, not decades, but 17, 18 years of training and doing this shit. So my body has that experience, that adaptation. It can handle it. And that progression usually gets lost. So building muscle, let me just finish this before we take some questions. Building muscle is for everyone. If you want to get toned, you need to build muscle. If you want to build muscle, you have to build muscle. You need to be doing this type of rep range to stimulate growth because whether or not you want to lose weight, no one here, let's put it this way, no one here is trying to lose weight that's muscle. Agreed? No one here wants to lose muscle weight. When anyone says, I want to lose weight, you're saying you want to lose the excess fat. So understand that building muscle will help you lose that fat. Muscle weighs more than fat. You might not ever be 130 or 150 pounds. You might weigh 160, 165, but you're going to look the way you wanted to at 140 because muscle is more dense, but you're also going to have that shape. So get it out of your fucking skull that you should not be lifting weight. Get it out of your skull that you're trying to lose absolute pounds. That's why yesterday's episode about the scale, you got to throw those things out and not pay attention to them because you need to lift weights. If you're losing weight, if you want to lose fat, you have to lift weights. If you want to get toned, you have to lift weights and build muscle. If you want to get big, you got to lift weights and build muscle. So you have to build up properly, but that moderate rep range and more volume is ideal for building muscle. Why do I say this? Because the books say this, not to mention I've put this into practice and it works. Also, you can do other things like drop sets and supersets and things that are getting a little more fancy. It doesn't mean you can never do a high rep set, but overall, your stress and the external forces that you're putting and the stimuli and the acute variables you're putting on your body need to fall within this range of like 6 to 15 repetitions, 8 to 12 repetitions around, and more volume to build mass in the long term, not to mention sleep, proper nutrition, and fucking consistency. You can't do this for 3 months and be like, hey, I'm huge now. You got to do this for years. Years. People ask me how long I've been training. I've been training hard and like dedicated like this since probably like 2000, 99, 2000, high school. And I really got hardcore into it in the summer of 2002. So like this has been going on for a long time for me. Okay. And that's why the pro bodybuilders and stuff get on stage and they start winning competitions in their 30s and like sometimes early 40s because it takes that long to cultivate all that mass and hardness and to get the diet right for their shows and stuff, even when they're taking exuberant amounts of anabolic steroids. And just so you know, all these people that you're seeing on Instagram, all this like, you know, most of like the Gymshark shit and all this fucking stuff that you'll see on Instagram, these fitness models, everyone that's fucking hard shredded, like at 19 years old, 20 years old, most everyone is taking shit. When I say shit, I don't mean creatine or pre-workout. I'm talking anabolic steroids, some type of anabolic fucking steroids. It's so common and they work. That's why people take them. They're also high risk and they're not necessarily legal, and people are doing unregulated amounts and the quality is questionable. So people are taking this shit. Girls are taking this shit. You think it's normal for girls to have shredded fucking abs? It's not normal. So these massive glutes and all these glute workouts and these girls that look like they're from fucking cartoon books, it's because they're taking Anavar, they're taking anabolics. We could have this conversation later, but just putting it out there that what you see online is not what it appears. All these people pushing supplements and fit teas and all this bullshit, they're fucking injecting shit and taking oral steroids as well. So don't get it twisted. So there's so much bullshit out there. That's why we're here, because that stuff is rampant and we get twisted, we get discouraged, and we get confused at what's possible naturally and healthily. So that being said, let's answer some questions. Do you feel that one can gain quality muscle eating a keto or ICHF diet? I don't know what that is, so I'm going to say keto. Quality muscle, doing ketosis, and that's a whole other conversation. Most people that I talk to that are saying they're doing ketosis don't know how to do ketosis. Most people that do ketosis think it's a high protein diet, low carb. It's absolutely not. Most of you that are doing ketosis are eating way too much protein. So make sure if you're going to do anything like that, you really do your research and you really prepare, because most of you don't have the faintest idea. Ketosis is just like the fad right now. It's the popular thing. So, you know, it's very, 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 you have to do it a certain way, and it takes weeks to get into ketosis. So it's not like, hey, I ate high fat and low carb today, I'm doing keto. You're nowhere near ketosis. And most people stop or don't even get into it because they're eating too much protein or they're still eating too much carbs. So very, 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 very slippery slope. And in terms of building quality muscle, it's not that easy. Doing ketosis is not designed to build a lot of muscle mass. So anyone else that has opinions on that, I did ketosis for a little while and I was weight training. It did not work for me. It's good for weight loss. It could work for some people. It's good for some autoimmune diseases. It's not required to see progress. It's not required to lose weight. It's not required to be healthy. It's not the answer for everyone. So you don't necessarily have to do ketosis. It's an option, but make sure you're very educated when you check it out. Let's see on Instagram, Parth Chowdhury, is whey concentrate good? No, you don't need whey protein, and whey concentrate is the lowest quality of them all. And fasting can be beneficial, sure. CrossFit, yay or nay? Nay. For most of the population, it should be nay. That's a very high risk, high impact, and improperly programmed. CrossFit is a big generalization. That groups together a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, the majority that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and very few people that know how to program that even remotely close to being proper. So, is CrossFit the devil? No, it's not the devil, but it's a very high risk, and it's not the ideal way to enter fitness and the fitness lifestyle, to lose weight, to look a certain way. It will get you better at CrossFit. It'll get you improve you at a variety of general tasks, but it's not specific enough, and it usually does things that are more risk than reward, especially for what people want: weight loss and certain aesthetics and physique. And a lot of people that you see on TV and things that do CrossFit that have physiques, they do bodybuilding and they also do CrossFit. It's not the only thing that they do. Dun, dun, dun. Do you recommend W10? I don't know what that is. Paleo FTW, eggs and bacon every morning. Yeah, I'm not even a super fan of paleo per se, but that's a good start. That eliminates a lot of that bad stuff. Lords, a vegan told me too much protein is bad for your kidneys. A vegan told you that? Okay. Well, you shouldn't be having too much protein. Most people eat too much protein anyway. Your body, I mean, it can be. If you eat way too much protein, it can be stressful on the kidneys. That's why following a diet is not always the best option. That's why people jump. That's why people try vegan. That's why people try keto and they try this, because they're looking for an answer with one set of skills. That's why my approach, and those of you that are in Swolenormous X, my approach is the process of determining what's best for you. You have to go through an elimination. You have to get rid of all the foods that are inflammatory so you can determine which foods are right for you, which foods are best for you, and which foods fit your lifestyle. Which ones are you best able to maintain consistently with? Which ones are best, or you're able to cook the best? Which ones do you like the taste of the best? And then you can start playing around with with recipes and stuff like that. But you need to find out which foods are best for you, because if you just do a keto diet, you might have issues digesting that much fat. Your body might not produce enough acidity, or your gallbladder might be, weak, or who knows. So just going to a diet doesn't mean that you're going to get great results. There might not be a diet that's best for you until you put in the effort and actually figure this out. So that's my approach. Do you recommend eating fruits or sugar earlier, or does it matter? Fruits are nature's candy. You have to be eating in-season fruits, and I usually like to keep that stuff around my workout. I wouldn't be eating pounding fruit late at night, but lower glycemic fruits like berries and stuff and in-season fruits are beneficial. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. What else we got? Does lifting heavy like your max help with muscle definition? If I do my max once a week, or is my fat disappearing and my muscles are starting to show? Or is my lifting your max like a 1-rep max, or to failure? I'm confused. That lifting, our definition is less fat and having more muscle. How you lift is not going to determine your definition per se, unless you're talking about muscle separation and muscle maturity. If you want more definition, you need to build muscle and you need to get rid of the fat on top, and then you'll have more definition. You don't train the muscle and all of a sudden wow, the muscle is so much more defined. You get leaner. The muscle will develop and it'll get more, mature over time, but you have to get rid of the fat on top of it. The definition is just the fat on top. Plant-based protein supplements versus animal protein products. Neither. Food. I'm not a fan of any kind of supplements. But plant-based stuff is fine. Avoid soy. A lot of plant-based foods are inflammatory, like grain, legumes. A lot of that stuff is pea proteins and things like that. Depends on if the lectins are removed. Depends on how they're processed. I don't think you need a protein powder. I think people get way too much protein in their diet already. We don't get enough healthy fats. We don't get enough omega-3s. We don't get enough vitamins from greens and from cruciferous vegetables and things of that sort. We just rush to a supplement. We rush to a protein powder. That has been overblown by the industry, how much protein you actually need. You do not need a gram per pound of body weight. You do not need 2 grams per pound of body weight. That's just fucking ridiculous. You don't need that much protein. Especially for health. When you start looking at pro bodybuilders, you can't compare yourself to a pro bodybuilder. You can't compare yourself to someone who's 250 pounds shredded muscle because they're taking anabolics. You can't compare your diet to these people that are taking things that make them different than a normal human being. So your body processes shit differently. What do you think about to measure the 1 repetition max? Use the chart, do like a 6 repetition max, and then use the chart, one of those online charts that will determine approximately your 1 rep max, or do a 1 rep max. There's really no point to it. There's really no point, just a high risk maneuver. You don't need a 1 rep max. All this, and that's another thing with CrossFit and like the PRs and records, and who cares? Who cares if you lifted 300 and you used to lift 275? Oh, you're getting stronger. It's going to decline. You know, if that's your goal, then strength matters. But why would your goal be to lift 300 as opposed to 275? I'm just saying, listen to this. Why would your goal be a number or a number of strength? Why? If you're a power lifter, I know, I get it. It makes a difference. But if you're an average person, does it make you a better person? Does it make you, hey, I'm in shape now. Yeah, I can lift a little bit more. Great. Is that your goal? And if so, why? Don't you want to be healthier? Being stronger doesn't mean healthier. It means more able, more functional. But if you lift 275 and then now you lift 300, it doesn't make you like a more healthy person. It makes you a little bit stronger. Okay, is that useful? Do you need to be doing that? Or should you be getting the fat off around your stomach? And you want to look better. If you're trying to look better, I want to look bigger, I want to look better, but then you're going for strength, you're missing the pieces that are going to get you to your goal. So a lot of times we do things as humans that are not in line with our goals. We think they are, we just get confused and we just go after the numbers like weight loss or strength gains and stuff like that. Okay. Really good questions, everyone. I know we could do this all day, so let's do this. Put your recommendations. What do you want to see in a future episode of the Daily Swole? I have tons of content. I have tons of ideas. And even if you say nothing, I will have content every day for years. So if there is something that you want to see on the Daily Swole, drop it right now in the comments below. And, maybe it'll get my attention. And also follow me over on Instagram stories, because I do polls over there. So sometimes I'm like, hey, what should we do tomorrow on the Daily Swole? So if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me over on Instagram. And remember, fam, that all these episodes that you have missed, that you need to catch up on, if those of you that are following my content and coming into this community fresh, all these episodes are on SoundCloud and iTunes. So Apple Podcasts for the podcast. You can listen to them. You can listen to that while you're walking the dog. You can listen while you are washing the dishes, when you're shoveling snow, doing cardio at the gym, whatever you're doing, you can listen to the podcast. So go to Daily Swole, Swolenormous on SoundCloud, and the Daily Swole on Apple Podcasts. You can type in Swolenormous and you'll see the Daily Swole pop up. So you can catch them all in your ear holes, and also on YouTube. All the HD videos are on YouTube as well, and I will post up the HD video here on Facebook later. So every day, 12 noon Eastern time. Thank you so much for joining. And final updates for those of you that are in the Swolenormous X community. I sent out an email blast yesterday. Brand new virtual training on Swolenormousx.com. Those of you that are members, it's a shoulder workout. It's a side and rear shoulder blast. So it's a fantastic workout. It absolutely murdered me when I did it. So those of you that are not in the community, Swolenormous X is the absolute tits. If you have any questions or you want to check it out, Swolenormousx.com. And this shoulder workout and the virtual training that I offer allows you to do literally everything but be in the same room next to me in the gym. So it allows you to train, the closest thing to training with me in your ear holes. So it's freaking awesome. So those of you that are in Swolenormous X, that's a real treat. So just dropped that yesterday, and a brand new workshop. We'll do another nutrition workshop in Swolenormous X on Thursday. So that's tomorrow. A brand new workshop will drop in X tomorrow. So Swolenormousx.com if you want to join or have any questions, want to check it out. And aside from that, episode 622 will be tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern time. So peace, McGee's fam. Deuce, Magoose. Papa Swolio. Out.